I think we chose no, Hannah is who it was.
Just not to get less heart attack. As if she's not going next.
Yeah, right. Vanilla. Kelly on.
Which one is it, Hannah?
It's 116.
Okay.
I hope it's okay that I did one individual Analect, not like a whole principle. I think I'm
Yes,
missing the assignment just a little bit.
Alright.
But
It could be either or.
okay, good. We ready? 116. The Master said, "Do not be concerned about whether or not others know you. Be concerned about whether or not you know others." Concern. A facet of love. Love. A piece of goodness. Goodness. Embodying the way. Small things lead to bigger things. Relationships are too consequential to be taken lightly.
It's an interesting picture. The pieces of things adding up to a greater expression of something. So concern being a facet of love, and then love itself being a facet or a piece of goodness. I'm thinking through that a little bit. Did you have more you can expound on there? Because that's an interesting thought for me.
Not really. I don't know. It's just kind of a simple writing. Like I don't know if there's much really to expound or talk about really, but it reminds me of the one of the principles of learning where it talks about when learning one thing you can learn three things in it, or when learning three things you can learn one great thing. About kind of it was even last Tuesday when you were talking about the simple things that make up a concept. It's what I saw as well. Sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt you.
It's just your poem is more like almost an analect itself. Like it's like I'm trying to just understand the deeper meaning of it. So, especially attaching or connecting the first part of it to the way you conclude it with relationships are too consequential to be taken lightly. I'm hoping to not be the only one sharing thoughts, because my thoughts will be more, you'll help me out by sharing some of your own thoughts, so you guys help.
I think the last part was kind of more connected to the other, like what the analect was talking about, right? About not whether you know others, but others knowing you. Wait, the other way around.
Yes, yeah.
It's fine if there's not like too many thoughts. Like very simple, so we don't have to worry about that.
We're gonna get some anyway, so.
I really appreciate it, Hannah, because and it was kind of like what was on my heart like a week before last when I was sharing about Jesus talking to Peter after he had denied him 3 times, and then he asked him 3 times, "Do you love me?" And his response to how to truly love him was to go and feed the sheep, to go and care for the lambs. And so and the reason it was so personal to me is because the Lord has been very specific about that in my personal life, in recognition of, I spent my entire life understanding and truly believing in the love of God and being raised to to put God first and to never not let that order be misaligned, to always love God. And then as a child, I don't think we ever really recognized that's such a big word. What does love mean? So I'm not trying to go too far back, but it's just been a constant reminder from the Father, like, do you love me? How are you loving my people? How are you carrying the burden that I carry for my people, with my people, in the way that you love them, in the way that you care for them? And those are all really simple words, but that's how my mind works. But I don't know, I'm not trying to perceive exactly what you were saying, but I just want to say I can really relate to that in my own personal life. That constant reminder from the Lord is, how are you loving me in the way that you care for and love my people?
Actually, I really like that, Rach, because that's been on my heart recently as well. A constant prayer of mine, because I'm definitely in that mode of I want to understand what it means to love the Father. And so that's a constant prayer of mine, is understanding what it means to love him. But where I've landed on in my understanding of it right now is I love the Father by seeing others in his body. And that's what I really like about this poem, and even the Analect he chose. It's I forgot about this Analect, but it's a very good one, because I think one of the highest pursuits of love is to see someone as they are, not even necessarily as they want to be seen sometimes, not even as how you normally see them, but seeing them as they ought to be seen. And I think that in a way is how you love the Father. He says, or Jesus says somewhere, by whatever you do for the least of you do for me. And I think that goes with concern and love as well. By showing concern and love and knowing those who often are not known or loved or seen, I think you in turn love him. Sorry, I'm basically just re-saying what you said, but...
No, and just a second, like the first of the Analect, do not be concerned about whether or not others know you. So that reminder, it is always laying ourselves down, our lives down for another, and not walking in, that it's all about me, what do I get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage you too, Hannah. You said something that you can understand. There's not much to say because it's simple, but let's not confuse something that seems simple as not being profound. You have a way of capturing things that could appear to those who would be not as thoughtful to be very simple, and obviously, like, the nature to what you say is true, but there's a depth here that could get lost if you don't approach this with a measure of thoughtfulness. And what really is like stark to me is the last stanza there where you say relationships. Well, that is a generalization, right? Because that elicits like what kind of relationships? Because we have intimate relationships, we have more familiar relationships, and then we have like acquaintances. But the way that you even phrase that, and then you go into are too consequential, really drives home to me anyways this thought of like, it's not just those people that you're closest with that are consequential. It's consequential in every relationship you have is consequential in its own right. Right, and it's where we have to be very like discerning about how we come into contact with other people. But to pull that out, like, again, the way that the world works, right, is to be known, and the way that he is offering here to know others, I think is a really compelling thing that I think you capture really well, in the sense of like, it is almost like this invitation for all of us to consider not just our close relationships, but those relationships that maybe are not as close and familiar. Like those are the ones where getting to know somebody is a little bit trickier, right? Because your closest friends, you know them fairly well, and there's obviously ways that you can know them better. But I really want to encourage you. And I don't know, I'm not going to put this on you, but don't mistake the simplicity of it as being less than. This is really, really well written. And the way that you've laid it out is beautiful in its simplicity, because it is profound and deep. And it is, I think, something that we would all be really well served to give measured thought to. And so maybe we don't have a lot of comments right away, but it's because this actually pulls us into something that is way deeper than it might seem at face value. It's really excellent.
I feel like that's a little bit of what I was first thinking when I heard the poem. I kind of was a little bit confused at first, and I was like, this is a poem that definitely makes you go deeper than just how it looks at first and how you think of it when you first hear it. But it makes you think more of like, what is the heart behind this and the meaning of, writing the poem.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of, I don't know how you say that, but like confidence in the words, I feel like. Like I even feel like, to me when you were reading it, it sounded like somebody was whispering in my ear, like almost like wisdom. Like, you would ask the Father for counsel sometimes, and like he just, sometimes you feel like you hear certain words or like, I don't know, that's how it felt. That's cool.
That was the same word I had in mind, it is a very wise poem. Just the one that I've been thinking about as we have discussed it. Obviously the things that we are concerned about are the things that our minds will often direct themselves towards, and just in thought about the condition of a thing or a person, and how we are relating to them, how we have related to them, what we're going to do with them. Concern is not just a matter of, even though this is how it's sometimes used, it's not just a matter of anxiety, but it's anything having to do with them or with the thing. Yes, care. And that's a part of love, is the mind constantly thinking towards their direction. But you don't stop there. You provide a further connection to something that is much more, and this is the word you'll use later, much more consequential, which this part of love is itself, or by extension, part of goodness. And goodness means a little bit more for us who have gone through the way that word is used in the Analects. And as kind of that most lofty and most complete virtue. It's like a state of, or arriving at goodness as we've come to understand it, is more or less arriving at perfection or a fullness of maturity, which is to fully embody the way, as you put it. And so to see how this connects to what our minds are always drifting towards, what our minds are always directed towards, thinking about, to our ultimate destiny in those who are meant to be embodiments of the way or arrive at goodness, it's showing how you say small things lead to bigger things, how the simple things add up to make up everything that is. And so what you provide, you're almost you're underlining the Analect with this poem and showing just how far-reaching the effects and the consequences are of whether or not we really change our own behavior and our own thought patterns according to the encouragement from Confucius here, to not be concerned about whether or not others know me, but to be concerned about whether or not I know others. And Hannah, I would actually encourage this in light of what you may have felt moments ago when I was first asking you some stuff and you were like, well, I mean, it's really simple, so don't worry. That would seem as if you are actually following, do not be concerned about whether or not others know you. So you're like, yeah, I'm not concerned about whether or not you know me, or you're not knowing my poem. But that is actually, that kind of attitude, and I'm not blaming this on you, because I want to address every single one of you in this. That kind of attitude of like, oh yeah, it's not really, this doesn't really have much, when actually it does, as we've been talking about it for almost half an hour now. It is a missed opportunity when you treat something that you've provided to others like that. And being able to see the value of what you have brought is not a matter of you being concerned about whether or not others know you. What if it's that opportunity that you're missing is being able to know others better? Because what you're doing is closing a door when you treat yourself that way, when you treat what you've created that way. You're not opening a door. So others begin to start to walk through the threshold of conversation to you, and you just slam the door and lock it. You don't want to do, none of you want to do that. But that is what you're doing. And I will even say this goes back further to the generation before us, our own parents. This is not anything that any of us, this is not something that any of us have come to, including myself, have come to really discipline ourselves in such a way that we can walk in a stable and open confidence in the value of what we have. I think partly because we are over personalizing it. You're treating yourself and your own life and the products of your own mind and heart as yours and yours only. And so you feel really insecure about it. And so you continue to shut doors. But when you realize that is actually much more than that, if you're able to really extend into your own life and behavior the reality that your life doesn't belong to you, and so neither does even the things that your mind and heart produces, those are not solely and completely and ultimately yours, then you wouldn't act like that. So raise your hand if you believe, I'm going to do a raise your hand thing, that your life doesn't belong to you. Everybody? Yeah. But how many of us actually live that way? And that is actually most clearly and regularly expressed in the way that we act around each other, specifically these people. And so you will be more bold rather than less bold in the things that you're willing to bring before others. And you will be just as ready and able and willing to receive correction when things invite correction that you do offer. And I think for most of us, this is more of a matter than just being afraid of correction. We all, I think, have come to realize and do presently and actively appreciate the value of correction. I don't think that has been missed by anybody. But you need to you got to be able to see the wisdom of something like your poem. This is this is not even an encouragement to be able to receive praise better. That's not even where I'm getting with this. It's a part of maturity is recognizing the value of what you have and what you've given, so that it can be an open door rather than a closed one. Thank you. Do you have someone else in mind we can go to next?
Naomi?
Naomi? Which one is it?
How do you pronounce that R?
It's
I've tried. It's
reciprocity.
I think that's how I say it.
Reciprocity.
Yes. Reciprocity.
That's not how I was saying in my head.
You guys there?
That's how I've always said it, but I'm not playing it.
Reciprocity.
That's, I've always said it. It's reciprocity.
I'm pretty sure that
It's one of those like read in your head book words.
it's also known as the silver rule.
The silver rule.
Yeah.
Where is that? Where is it known as that?
The very bottom of the
No, I Where did she-
When I found it, it was just what it said.
like what? Like a dictionary or?
No, just like it's something in Confucius.
Oh, okay.
I saved it.
Oh, as opposed to like the golden rule. Like this is the only one.
This is what I have saved.
Silver rule.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
referred to it.
Because that's it, it's the it's like the inverse of the golden rule. That's what they call it. I guess that's kind of just a play on words, like the golden rule. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Roots will cling to soil, for stability is found in inherent harmony. The rich dirt complements maturing seeds. To endure one another is to fellowship, even when each tree bears their unique fruit. Because the sun still shines upon all branches, reflecting the moisture from the morning rain. The birds will sing, echoing love in the garden of life. This is the silver rule.
Can you send that little screenshot you have, like to one of the group chats, and then just
Yeah.
I can look at it?
Sorry, I have a question. What is the silver rule?
Where she's
I'm
about.
sending it.
Oh, okay.
I think it helps with the context of the poem.
No, wait, is that?
Yeah,
Are
that's
the
it.
culture center?
Elisa, are you on the
Elisa?
Culture Center
Yes.
group chat?
Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody should be on that.
This, This poem reminds me of an a poet whose name is Du Fu, where it's like it just seems like a scene. Like you don't know, like it's kind of like it's different than Hannah's because it's like imagery, but you still really have to dive into it because when I'm reading this and it doesn't shout the silver rule, which is cool because you have to look closer, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to do right now is make that closer look.
Yeah, me too.
I think at least my interpretation, the similarity is found in the word harmony, the inherent harmony. Nothing about you're describing like the scene of a forest, nature, right?
Like a garden.
Yeah, like a garden. That's a good word for it. In a garden with no weed, like assuming a garden where everything is going as it should, nothing is imposing itself on anything else. Everything is living and functioning together in this kind of working ecosystem, right? This working body, right? A garden ecosystem, if you see all the root connections and all of that thing, is kind of like a body in a way. And nothing imposes itself on the other thing. Assuming everything's right. There can be weeds and stuff like that, right? But most of the time, if there is that harmony, right? Nothing breaks that silver rule because that's how it was designed to be. They were designed to work in that harmony. At least that's kind of what I'm taking on it. Because in order for there to be harmony, nothing can be imposing itself on anything else. Nothing can be taking advantage of another thing. And so in a way, by describing an absence of this imposition, right, because you don't actually mention it anywhere, the absence actually reflects the substance of that silver rule in this. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool. By not saying it, you imply that it is there, because it is. It's like this invisible way, this invisible harmony. That's really just the best word for it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean when you say children?
Sorry.
Oh.
Oh. How do I explain that? It's part of like knowing faults and knowing that we don't agree on everything, but enduring that and like still living in such a way that is
So is it like forgiveness in a way?
yeah,
It's like acceptance.
Yeah.
But it's more than coexistence. Like
right.
we're all gonna be in the same place and not like be in any conflict if we can help it.
Mm-hmm.
But you do equate endurance with one another to fellowship, which is interesting.
I think the word acceptance is very apt there.
But fellowship obviously is more proactive than that even,
Yeah.
which is where I'm wondering, where the progression is there for you between endurance and fellowship.
Kind of thought of it as a way of like expressing, like enduring one another's burdens, like as a type of fellowship.
Enduring is also like a patience and an understanding, and an acceptance to me would be like saying this is okay, like I'm accepting this as something that's the way it's going to be. But enduring and understanding in that way has a patience and a consistency to it, to where it's like, yeah, this might not be where it needs to be, and I know it won't stay here forever, but while it is this way, you know, I'm going to be here with you.
Yep.
And I'm going to,
That's what I was trying to think of exactly. It's like you're in a relationship with someone you love, but maybe it's not this quite ideal mutual relationship. But still, you like Isaac saying, you have patience in that, and there's still fellowship. I don't know if I did well.
No, that's actually what I meant by acceptance. I forgot there's like a
Yeah,
modern sense to that word, and I don't mean the modern context. Like we have to accept everything as it is and not want it to change. Acceptance is exactly what I mean with what you're saying, Isaac. You accept that reality. You don't let that be a burden on you. You accept that things are not the way they should be, but you're going to move forward regardless, and you're going to trust in that process. We're agreeing. I was just clarifying. I did not mean the modern sense of the word acceptance. And I don't know if you did either.
To be honest, a lot of the lines of this poem just kind of came out flowing. You're smiling at me. But I just I don't know, I spent a lot of time actually redoing this poem, and a garden and like trees just kept coming to my heart about this. What would you call it? Like
An orchard or something?
yeah. Anyways, but like that point of of even though there's not agreement and like full agreement on everything and but still living in such a way that is serving obviously the Lord and working together as a people through our differences really stood out to me. And I was really just trying to express that through even what I said about the uniqueness of the fruit that's produced on each tree, but there's still that one light that shines and helps us grow. Through those differences, there's a beauty. If that makes sense.
And the reason a nature scene is so suitable is because nature does it so naturally, so obediently. You could even say, yeah, I had that word too, but I figured it was not the best word.
I don't know if you guys caught this part here where I said, because the sun still shines upon all branches, reflecting the moisture from the morning rain. Do y'all understand that?
I understood it once you were explaining more
Yeah.
just now.
But like, do you know what that reflection is? Do you know what that is? Like the reflection of the sun. Does that make sense?
I get that. Is that what you kind of meant by it?
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was something specific.
No, I just didn't know if that made.
This is the scene, the significance of the scene that I'm seeing is, especially as it relates to the silver rule, because it's what we were trying to think out earlier, is despite the multiplicity, so there being so many different things, or so many clear differences among everything in the scene, so with trees and different forms of life, and even forms of life that are the same, having different shapes and sizes, whatever. There's still one earth, there's still one ground,
That's exactly what I was doing.
and there's still one sky, there's still one sun. And they've all grown from the one earth, and they're all receiving light and rain from the one sky. And so it's almost as if an acknowledgement of this is in the same way that the earth is the foundation for all of these trees and the varied fruits that they produce through what they receive from the sky and whatever. In the same way that the earth is a foundation for their lives, an acknowledgement of the oneness of where they have come from and what sustains them is itself a kind of foundation for their acceptance or their endurance of and fellowship with one another. They don't need to find individually shared similarities in order to relate. They instead find they find similarities in what gives them life, what their source of life is, which is apart from them, even though it may be within them in the sense that it is formed who they are. It is still a separate power, a separate source than themselves. And that's where they relate. They fellowship in something higher than themselves. So that definitely applies to God's people, for sure. Because even the deepest aspects of life, like cultural differences and stuff, can be and are meant to be transcended in light of who we are in heavenly places from a different source, where we're meant to fellowship, where we can fellowship. God's designed it to be that way. And as a result of, again, what nature is able to present for us as just this natural and effortless harmony of this sort of existence, an existence in spite of many, many, many differences. It's a place where birds can thrive and sing. And obviously many other creatures too, but birds here, as you represented, they echo love in the garden of life. So they represent what has, as a result of this harmony, been formed as an environment, a nurturing environment for love to be sung in the garden, to be active and real there, to be heard there. And that's cool that you would use something like birds, which are, even as we were hearing them this morning, kind of the loudest, most consistently noisy, but beautiful creature in a natural environment most of the time. That's what you can hear from afar. That's what, say, outsiders will hear as they begin to enter a place. That creates the audible environment of a place. And that's what love is meant to do. Go ahead, sorry.
Why do they make so much noise?
Why do birds make so much?
Actually, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because you just said love is the most active noise. In a way, with all the birds, most of those are mating calls.
Yeah, partly. Yeah,
Partly.
that's true. They also just like to sing their little hearts.
Yeah.
They don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
But eat worms. Yeah. That's a good question. I have to think about it.
Why do
do birds sing so much?
that could be like the title of like a book or a poem. Why do birds sing?
Oh, I bet that's me. Yeah, that's your assignment of it. You're the only student that gets that.
Maybe I'll join you.
But I kind of want that assignment.
You
So
could
that's a good
answer that question in many different ways.
You could. Poetically, scientifically,
with one word.
personally. They sing for me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Sing for me.
We're really singing.
Wow. Okay. I still feel like the silver rule could be connected a little more clearly and firmly than any of us have been able to. Mhm. Any other thoughts?
I just agree. My thoughts are pretty much what were already shared. I like the way that it flows and what it reflects. I really like the part that you were talking about the sun's reflection. That stood out to me the most. I don't have anything to add on other than what was shared already, which I thought was pretty cool.
I don't really know why, but I had never thought of that saying as harmony. Like that doesn't really
Inherent harmony.
Yeah, or
Just
just
say-
like I'm talking about the silver rule.
Well, what I'm just now thinking is like, this is not a demonstration of the silver rule. This is like the heart behind it. So like, why does it matter that we don't do unto others as we would not have them do to us? Well, we look at a very often observed and clear picture from something like nature, and we see what God demonstrates through that as a very simple picture of what Naomi calls inherent harmony. And that is what is the product of, oh, maybe just change it.
I liked that.
That's what comes as, that's where we want to arrive at as a community of people, or even, I'm trying to figure out the right word to address humankind collectively. I don't want to say like race or anything like that. But that's how we want to be able to, that's the place or the state of existence and
Humanity?
like relating to one another that we want to arrive at as created beings made in God's image. It's a much longer way, but more precise way of saying. That's where we want to get at, and that's knowing something like the golden rule or the silver rule as
What's the golden rule?
the very opposite, but
Or the-
basically the inverse. Yeah,
Oh,
It means the same thing.
it does. Yeah. So one is a little more. This one's like a little more restrictive, like kind of don't do. And then what Jesus said is a lot more proactive, like do. So they both express a similar heart. And that's what, you could basically have said this is the heart of the golden rule too, because it's,
maybe it is.
Well, the reason I thought it was
It is the golden
the silver.
but again, the heart's behind both is the same, like we're
Yeah.
saying.
But that's
Because
why.
the heart isn't like doing things.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's why I think it fits the silver rule. And while, yes, it is certainly the heart, but nature being that's why I really like inherent harmony, because I think that's how it really connects. Because it isn't like nature's going out and doing to itself like it wants to be done, right? It is not imposing. It naturally works that way. And in a way shows how the silver rule functions in the real, in the just in the nature, the natural qualities of creation.
I don't know if you guys, I've shared it a couple of times, but Elijah and I were learning Chinese from Emmanuel years ago there, and there was a poem that Emmanuel loved that was a Chinese poem that he was teaching us how to say it, and he would often say it to us to help us hear the sounds and stuff like that. But anyway, the poem is about trees being together, and I think that's kind of like what I'm seeing is that inherent thing. It like talks about the trees standing together, and then the roots being intertwined because they're close together, and just when you realize that everything is connected, that you're actually a part of the whole. And so if you do something to someone else, you're actually doing something to the whole,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's why I liked using the word ecosystem,
Mhm.
because everything, if it's functioning as it ought to,
yeah,
everything kind of has this way of flowing into the next thing where there's this balance that's naturally maintained. And obviously invasive things can disrupt that.
Yeah.
But ideally, there is it almost functions like a body does,
Yeah.
an ecosystem.
different parts all functioning together.
Especially, yeah, I like the root system thing because that's really cool.
Mhm.
Especially when you consider things like mycelium and stuff,
Oh yeah,
like mushrooms.
connectivity.
They call it like the heartbeat of the forest, like the circulatory system of the forest.
Yeah.
Mycelium touch everything and connect everything
Yeah,
in the forest.
I heard.
Maybe you or Elijah could find that poem for us if there's like an English translation.
Well, yeah, I've got the translation still, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at that yesterday. I can pull it up.
Oh, you got it.
Nice. Yeah, whenever y'all find it, maybe we can read it together next time.
Okay.
We're only getting like through 2 poems at a time. That's great.
That works for me.
Okay. Naomi can pick the next person now or later.
Elisa?